Uh. Yeah. 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 Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of River City 93. I'm your host, as always, Elliot Barr. And joining me on today's podcast are three of my good friends who, I don't know if they enjoy Jaeger, if they have taken Jaeger in their college experience. I didn't. So I'm relying on the experience of y'all. We're calling you up for the first team for your Jaeger experience, much like Becca Howe got thrown into the lineup on this. Joining me on tonight's show is Mr. Matt. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. Your question here is flawed to begin with because if you've got experience with Jaeger, you by rule do not remember your experience with Jaeger.
Okay. See, I've learned something new every day. Yeah, I didn't. I went to college where Jaeger was not a thing. It was liquor and Hennessy. So, I learned that from y'all. Also joining the show is Miss Kate. I don't know. Do you have any experience with Jaeger? Also, you didn't get sacked, so maybe you should.
I think I've maybe had it once or twice, but I wouldn't say it was ever a drink of choice. But one of my good friends, her last name is Jaeger. So I do have a close personal relationship to a person named Jaeger. But the drink, I would say it's a distant acquaintance.
Okay. Also, we'll get into that story later, but you met a family friend of the podcast who was pretty interesting. Shanair, you went to school up in Philly. I'm pretty sure Jaeger's in the blood of all Philadelphians. How was it for you up there in
it is.
Temple?
Yeah, it's not mine. Not mine. Don't really have any experience with Jaeger. Don't ever remember drinking any. Ever remember wanting to drink
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah, no, that was
the biggest one he really tried to avoid was Vlad. That was the one we steered clear of.
Yeah.
Vlad. That was probably the worst vodka in the world.
Oh, for us it was I went to the illustrious University of Virginia State University. And there, if you didn't have money, you had enough money for Burnett's and Four Locos, which if you don't know what a Four Loco is, they don't make it how they used to back in the early 2000s, which was pure caffeine, adrenaline. I swear that stuff. It was not. It was no way anyone should be drinking it.
It was basically like a Monster with vodka.
Yeah. It was not good for anyone. Because you would be drunk and like also hyperactive at the same time, and that's a bad combination.
And then you can't out. No.
No, it's not good for anyone. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Before we get started, just want to say thank you to everyone that reached out for the nice messages. This past week was tough because we did Crystal Ray, the school that I coach soccer at. We lost a young member of our soccer team, Jose Batista, with Virginia State University. So just thank you for everyone that reached out for that effort. Also, if you guys didn't know, the Kickers U20 play in the USL Pathway Classic. I got some of the results. I didn't really know how the tournament was set up, but what it looks like is I think we finished second in our group. We won one, lost one, and drew one in a group with us, Miami FC, Colorado Springs, and Southern some other team, some other youth club. But yeah, seemed like they did decent. They didn't make it to the final game, which was this weekend, but I think at that point it's more so of experience. So yeah, the U20 seem to be coming together there. But guys, let's go ahead. Let's talk about this 4-1 game to Louisville City. First of all, before we get started on this, How are y'all feeling about this tournament? Like, is this something the casual Kickers fan or even the hardcore Kickers fan should be upset about at the result itself, or be like, hey, at least we didn't get blown out, like, or super embarrassed?
You don't think 4-1's going to blow it out?
But it's Louisville City. A 4-1 is like a 2-1. So maybe not.
My opinion has not changed on this ever since they announced the tournament. It's a dumb gimmick. It's a waste of time. So do I care about the result? No, not in the slightest. Yeah, I think we're going to run into the same thing as last year. We'll have those 2 Jaeger home games, and 95% of the crowd won't know the difference. Well, maybe it goes to penalties at the end, and that's okay.
Yeah,
it's just a side little gimmick. And I mean, is there anybody in the world who thinks it's not going to be one of the big championship teams that ends up winning it in the end?
Oh yeah. At this point, I think it's going to be one of the championship. I'd be very shocked if a League One team makes it to the final. I'll be shocked. Casey, how y'all feel about it? The tournament so far?
To be honest with you, I've been the same boat with that. Feels like one tournament too many, and not really a point to this one. This game, I mean, we put up a good fight, but I'm not really shooken up by it much. I think my mind is focusing on league and what we can do there and how we can grow there. Yeah, like I said, one tournament too many.
I think the main benefit, I guess, or the thing that I prefer about this setup than in the past few seasons is I do appreciate that it cuts down on travel costs, because it's the same number of games, but not having to travel quite as far, because the Kickers were flying across the country so often to build out that balance of games. And last season we played the same teams so many times because they were in our Jäger Cup group that, like, at least we're not going to have to play Greenville like 4 times this season, like last season. Like, it's actually different opponents as opposed to just playing the exact same teams week over week. That to me got a little boring, just because there's really only so many times you can play the same team and like expect the result to be interesting. So I appreciate that at least the tournament has evolved so that it does reduce travel costs for the USL 1 teams, or at least the East Coast. The West Coasters are still having to fly to like every single game, but the East Coast, at least a little cheaper for the balance of games for like the full slate of games in our packages, and not actually having to just play the same 2 teams.
Yeah. I mean, the groups so far have been constructed in a way which makes it kind of quote unquote regionalized. You don't have, I remember last year's wrinkle was you played a team from a different group. And when they got rid of that, instead of, you have 6 teams in your group, you only play 3 of those teams. Or, I mean, 4 of those teams. So you don't get to play everyone because, of course, we would have loved to play Loudoun. Funny enough, we don't play Loudoun this year. Instead, we get stuck with Louisville City, Lexington, North Carolina, and Charlotte. I'll talk about this in another part of it. So, matter of fact, I'll just go straight to the lineup. So the lineup that Darren pulled out for this game, we saw a little bit of rotation. You saw somewhat of a start of the same starters we saw from the past game against Westchester. You saw Heaton Anderson up front, Espinal, O'Dwyer, Kirkland, Barthen, Niels, Franca, Garnett, Fitch. And the 2 changes into that were Pablo Hara and Beckett Howe. Now, according to my notes and what I can remember, this is Beckett Howe's first official start for the Kickers in a pro game.
Pretty sure he started like the last 4 games of the bad year.
Maybe so.
Remember there's some people last year, not anybody associated with Richmond, but were like, oh, Beckett Howell, he's going to be like young player of the year, breakout star of USL 1, and they got that because he played a few games, because that's when they moved Hornsby up. He had to be a winger for a little while.
Maybe so. Maybe it's just been a while. Okay, maybe so. Yeah, nonetheless, he got to start against this game. Louisville City. If you didn't know, they're on top of USL Championship. So it was already a game which felt like, all right, we're behind it. Going into this game, I don't know if you guys had the same prevailing theory as me, but it felt as if like if the Kickers were going to get anything out of this game, it had to at least come from set pieces. They were going to have to make this game a dogfight, and they were going to have to avoid like costly turnovers. Some of that happened, and some of that did not happen. Let's start off with the first half before we go into the second half, where I think things are a little bit more. We can dive into a lot more of this. But what was you guys' first half thoughts about how the Kickers played? Obviously, they did give up the goal at the very end of the half there, but what was you guys' thoughts on it, or is anything you saw that stood out to y'all?
I was a little surprised when it was the same, lineup and same style again. Like I didn't mind, giving Paulo a game, didn't mind giving Beckett, a game. I think some rotation makes sense, but you think back to we talked to Darren a couple of weeks ago. He said, "All right, we got some, plans, we got some stuff in mind, especially for this game." Looked to me like it was, oh well, this kind of worked against Westchester. We'll run it back again, and Louisville's a little bit better, than Westchester is. So I don't know. I think they did a good job of absorbing pressure for the most part, but like they gave away the wings, which may have been a tactical decision. But Louisville had all day to do whatever they wanted on the wings throughout the game, and then it was just the same thing as all year long, just absolutely horrible mistakes. Didn't get punished in the first half, but like Griffin Garnett, I don't care if you're the golden child, you cannot make that terrible of a back pass that goes 3 yards, in the first half. Luckily, the guy decided, to try to shoot it first time instead of just dribble in on Pablo like he could have. But dude, like I don't care who you are, like that's the kind of stuff that shouldn't get anybody else sat on the bench.
Yeah, like that was that moment kind of almost maybe like, all right, maybe we got to reel this in a little bit. Maybe he just let the pass, and you could tell it was one of those moments. He just fell. He was just like, "Oh, like
but
he wanted
wasn't
the
even
ground
under
to swallow
pressure.
him up." No, he wasn't. He wasn't. Yeah, and I don't know. Like, was it miscommunication, or was it just like he just hit it way too light? Either way, you got to make sure that ball gets to Pablo.
I mean, even if it's miscommunication, he still
I think that's
kicked the ball about 2 yards. Like, I think any of Shanier's kids could kick the ball farther than that in that spot.
I think that was a miss hit. I think with the ball kind of bouncing and he's running back, I think he takes a look over his shoulder. Maybe nerves got in on him with Louisville's attacker probably about 3 yards behind him and like booking it. He probably got a little nervous and completely whiffed the ball. And it goes literally 3 yards. I think he was expecting to get a nice cushioning pass that would have fit nicely, because in that situation, with him running back as fast as he is, he does not want to really hit that ball to Pablo too hard, because again, with a striker coming, you need Pablo to be able to one-time it if you have to. And if you hit it with him with too much pace, he's going to have to stop the ball first. And so I think in his head, he's thinking, okay, don't hit it too hard, and he completely whiffed it. And that was terrifying.
Yeah. Another thing that I saw, Matt, to your point, you was talking about how we gave up the wings. I think that is a fair point to make as well. I think another thing too is like Louisville they made a point to attack back at Howell. Like it was very constant. I think I counted like 3 or 4 times they would just go and attack that side. Like very rarely did they try to build up with the left. And I don't know if that was just that's how Louisville builds up normally, but they identified it was like, oh, you're not Maxi. Okay, we're just gonna go with this. And so look, and to his credit, he did fairly well. I can't. Maybe I missed it, but to me, it didn't seem like he played anything wrong. Now, did he do anything super great? Like, did he generate, offense or very pungent out there on defense?
He put that ball into the box in the first half. That was
Okay.
unexpected to see him on a set piece in midfield. I mean, I know Maxi takes a lot of set pieces, so I don't know if that was
a
just
lot
a
of the set
positional.
pieces. That's another thing too. I don't. How do you guys feel about that? Like having Beckett be the set piece taker?
I thought that felt very random. I mean,
I wonder if it was a thing of like, all right, you're not part of our normal set piece routine. So instead of trying to plug you in for someone else's play, we're just going to make you the free kick taker and give you the easiest roll out of it.
It wasn't a bad kick. It wasn't lethal.
Yeah.
It wasn't like super precise, but I mean, it could have gotten the job done if, I guess.
Yeah.
They didn't give him the important one, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, right. No. Nils took that one, which is, I mean, my God, that was a hit. That was a hit.
Mm-hmm.
That was
The kind of hit you get
the
from
bend on that one.
6 appearances in the Bundesliga.
Hey, it had the goalkeeper stretched out. It did. It had him hanging in the air. Because look, everything about that hit from Nils seems as if it should be like an in-swinger to the back post. Like, all right, just put it on someone's forehead and allow that person to hit it, like Chandler. But for him to just take that on and hit it, I can leave there with a little bit of pride. Even though the rest of the game didn't go our way, I can leave there with a little bit of pride. Yeah, I mean, what it really felt like with this Louisville game is just like there's quote unquote there's levels to this. Like the Kickers starting 11, like true starting 11, maybe could compete with Louisville, right? But like once you get into like the depth, that's where I felt like more of the issue comes with.
I mean, you really think Maxi in there instead is going to make a significant difference? Because otherwise, it's the exact same team they rolled out there of the field players.
More so in the first half. Maybe so in the first half. Yeah. But we'll get Pablo too.
None of those were on Pablo.
Yeah, no. This is my thing about Pablo. Like, this is the perfect Pablo game. Pablo is like a neutral goalkeeper. Like, he didn't do anything to lose his game, but he also didn't do enough to also win you this game. If that makes sense. Like,
he hung out to dry on yesterday.
Yeah. Because if you go back and look at some of the goals that he gave up, like, they were especially what was I think the third one, or it's either the second or third one, where and this one really comes on Simon Fitch, where Simon Fitch has a bad back pass to Hara, and there's a Louisville player crashing in on him. So it forced Pablo to then rush his pass out to Louisville, who just turns it over and puts it right back into the back of our net, like a quick turnover. Like things like that, like it didn't help Pablo, and then also like the amount of turnovers in the back half, like that's an issue as well. Like the Kickers had a horrible time of trying to get out of their own half. Like the amount of times they just got stuck in their own half of either that was a bad pass or either there was a turnover. Or we couldn't win the second or third ball. And against a team like Louisville, where like you could probably get away with that in League One, right? But if going against a team like the championship, especially on Louisville's level, you're not getting away with that. And they showed us like they're gonna turn those into turnovers, and they're gonna score those chances.
Yeah, like you said, there's levels, at play here, and we've seen it when even the Open Cup game against Loudoun, last year, you kind of see like, okay, those guys, we can play with them, but across the board, they're always a little bit sharper, a little bit bigger, a little bit faster. And then Louisville's like the top end of that. Like they had guys who actually gotten real MLS minutes at points in their careers on that team. So it was always going to be an uphill battle. But I don't think the guys necessarily helped themselves, but the added quality of pressure. I don't know if they were fully ready for what was coming to them. And that's not ready as in the coaching staff didn't have it prepared. It's until you see it, you can't really prep
Yeah,
for it.
You can't mimic the feeling. It's almost like when you go take a test. Like, it's not until you first sit there, you're like, oh, this is long. I wasn't ready for this. That's what it felt like. Like, credit to him. Like, the first half went well. There were some scary moves, like Matt, like how you mentioned the bad back pass by Griffin Garnett. I think there was another one in there, like another dangerous shot in there as well in the first half. But it felt like the Kickers, like, if they could get through the first half, like, all right, at worst, we can make. Well, you're probably going to let it a goal. We can probably get one back and just hope for PKs. Like, if we got this to PKs, I felt like that would have been like a resounding win, regardless of the result win. But you had to play flawless football almost, and it's just the Kickers just couldn't get to that quality enough to play flawless football.
I noticed also they were slipping a lot. Again, another match on turf.
Yeah.
It's a completely different surface. I mean,
Pretty sure that was grass.
it looked like turf on the broadcast, but
Let me see.
yeah,
I mean, hey, that's top tier championship money. It's probably his grass that looks like turf.
They were slipping a lot, like on their Louisville City second goal. Both Simon and who was coming in from the side. Simon was central. Somebody else came in. They both They both slipped as they were recovering. There was I think Bulldog slipped at some point in the second half and caused a giveaway. The ball just like he was coming in for it, completely just fell on his face. And the Louisville City player picked it right back up and brought it back in. Like that was frustrating. Just like what is going on with the cleats situation?
Get longer studs. But to answer your question, Kate, is a mix of Bermuda grass and ryegrass. So it's good money. It's good grass.
All right. It did not. I will say that broadcast did not help. That was such a dark broadcast. Like they had the lighting. Like I don't know what the camera settings were, but it was the contrast was like all off on that broadcast. It was so dark. Did not make that look like
terrible
grass.
Yeah. I mean, even speaking about like the first goal that we came up with in the first half, like Nils Seufert slips. it just happened to be a Louisville player right there. I was like, oh, there's a ball on my foot. I'll hit this in. Like
I don't think he slipped. I think he was that to me looked like he was trying to slide to block the shot that was coming that he saw was coming.
See, I read it as him slipping because just the way how he just it didn't feel as if like he was trying to play. I felt like he just like his foot just went underneath him. Like he tried to play, he just went like, oh. But maybe so. Okay. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, no, it was a block.
It was a block. Okay.
Yeah, I think I was actually gonna point that out, like with the first goal. I don't know if we can really put too much blame on anyone. That first header comes in, it comes off the post. Seufert reacts quickly to block the toe poke. Mm-hmm. It's just that his block puts the ball just right back at the guy's feet, and he gets a second crack at it. And there's no way anyone's gonna react to that. It is what it is, but it definitely is real grass. Sometimes you get some of these teams, they prepare their players and they overly water the grass purposely to disrupt the other team, to disrupt what the other team's doing. It's an old trick. I think there was a game last weekend in Europe that I was watching where I saw the same. Like it was not a single cloud in the sky, so there was no rain. And then all of a sudden, in the second half, every time someone kicks the ball, like there's a big like spray, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So that's definitely something that a lot of teams use sometimes to throw the other team off. They prepare their players for it, but
yeah, I don't know, man. Overall, like what? Let's see how I can ask this for y'all. Like overall, yes, it's a 4-1 defeat to Louisville City, but do you think this dampers or changes your opinion anything on the Kickers so far, or is kind of just like these are how the Jägermeister games against championship teams are more or less going to go? Like the Kickers might be able to throw a punch or two, but just aren't deep enough to really get it on to get it across the line.
I guess it's hard to know because it's hard to know if Lou City is setting the bar because they also are such a good team that I don't know their squad well enough to know how deeply they rotated. I think their keeper was rotated, but I don't know any of the other names. So I also don't know if they're a real benchmark to compare how this group is going to go. I mean, Loudoun's playing well, but we're not going to play Loudoun. And Charlotte beat NCFC. We didn't lose to Charlotte. We shouldn't have lost. If Emmy puts a penalty in the goal, we don't lose that game. So if Independence is out here beating NCFC, I mean, they might not be too far off.
So it looks like Louisville had 7 starters from their previous game.
Okay. So more or less, they had their full starters, maybe just a couple of rotation guys in there.
Yeah.
Also, Brian Omby came back. You know, for Kickers fans of old, yeah, you might remember Brian Omby and whatnot. So yeah.
Lots of booing at the watch party, unfortunately.
That is what really wow.
Well, more in the like, boo, we just lost this game, and the broadcast was doing it up big for him because he'd just come back from injury, and it was like this whole thing, and they were zooming in on him, and everyone was clapping. Like, oh, come on, get it. We don't want it. This is not a moment where everyone's feeling super positive about this situation.
Matter of fact, how was the watch? Because it was at Bingo, right? How was it?
It was. They stuck us in a back room, which
okay.
They put a little sign up outside the door, but when the door was closed, it said employees only on it. So was not necessarily you had to know you had to open the employees only door to go into the watch party. It was in like a back, like it was kind of like the Ardent Barrel room a little bit, like back in their brewing space. Had a TV on the wall, and they had the sound actually piped through the room. So the sound was pretty good. The TV wasn't as big as you'd hope if they're going to host events in there. It was kind of just a normal size flat screen. So the TV was a little small, but it was good vibes. It was pretty well attended, had some new faces as well. So some good convos were had to invite everyone to the tailgate, things like that. Yeah, it was, the vibes were good at the watch party. I wouldn't say that most people, it didn't take the air out of the room too heavily to concede because everyone kind of felt like eventually it was coming. Obviously it was a disappointing result, but I wouldn't say it kind of, there was a negative atmosphere in the room. It was just kind of like, yeah, expected a loss. Maybe would have hoped the scoreline looked a little different, but when you look at each goal in isolation, it was like individual errors and stuff like that. Like it didn't feel like the team itself was like collapsing.
Yeah, that's I think the individual errors have been the thing. Yeah, we talked about a bunch of this podcast about like, you know, that has hampered a decent start for the Kickers. Like it's been that it could even be better. If you are Darren, and each of you can answer this. If you're Darren, what's your biggest takeaway from this game?
Oh yeah, you go, Chenier.
He said stick with that.
Simple.
Look, I would love to stick with that, but Pablo got to play a game here. Look, if Pablo is the cup keeper, I'm fine with it. He gets his 5 games.
Yeah.
He'll be a number 2. He only starts once we clinch playoffs. You know, he get that last game. I'm cool with that. I can rock with that. Okay, what y'all think?
I was gonna say I'm surprised we haven't seen Seufert on set pieces before this, if that's what he has in his locker.
True. Very true.
So more of those if he's on the field in those areas, put him on those.
Yeah. Matt, what about you, my good man?
I think the only real thing you might be able to take away, because again, most of it went exactly how any rational person would have expected, is okay, maybe because something works one week doesn't mean it's always going to work the next week. Like Hayden playing up top, bit all right. It's good for a surprise and maybe not constant, sort of deal. So that's really just trying to pick anything out. I think we got Greenville coming up. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing, Emmy back in the starting lineup, again, like we were paying him the money, and all that. Like, let's use them.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, what Hayden gives you is the motor and the effort. I don't think playing striker comes natural to him, especially against an opponent like Louisville, who has experienced center backs and whatnot. So yeah, maybe that wasn't a spot there. But I mean, hey, if you already know, like we're already a step behind in this, try to create some chaos back there. Maybe was the thought behind it, but it didn't just pay off. So yeah, Kickers right now in the group itself, I think, let me pull it up. We are at the bottom of the table in our group, but I mean, hey, it's only match day 1, and we did figure this out. So unlike last year, for the second place team, is not how many goals you score, is points, and then if there's a tie, and then it goes to goals scored. So they got rid of that time. They got rid of that rule.
Yeah, they kind of changed that under the radar there.
Yeah, they did. They did because they knew, like they were like, oh, like this was smart. Because last year, so I went back and looked at it last year. You know how Union Omaha was the wild card team they got in because they scored the most goals, right?
Right, because they were in a group with Fuego, and them and Noco just ran Fuego off the floor every game.
Right. If it went by points, like how it's how it is now, it would have been 1 Knox instead. So I wonder if that came into discussion about it. It was like, all right, let's change this up, because there's no depending on who you play, like you can just play someone who just like, all right, we're just using this for the backups and go out there, score 6 goals, and not do anything else, and you got enough goals to go through. So it's not really competitive nor fair. So yeah, so that's how the competition is being drawn out. If you look across the rest of the Jägermeister, I mean, we said it earlier, but I think only 3 League One teams was, and that were Spokane, Charlotte, and what Knox?
Naples.
Tormenta
won.
Oh yeah, Naples. Yeah, 4. It's my fault. 4. Tormenta played Greenville. I'm not counting that because that's a League One versus League One game. So yeah, so you can kind of see, there's some competitiveness with championship teams, but across the board, there's still there's a little gap there. But we put that game behind us. We talk about the game coming up on Friday. And before we talk about that, make sure you like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, Blue Sky, and everything like that. Also, if you don't mind, you can help donate as well to the podcast. Anonymously, we had someone donate $100 out of nowhere. So whoever sent that, thank you. You just paid for 2 months of this podcast. Thank you so much. But we talk about the game coming up on Friday. I say that again because the game is on Friday at 7 p.m. Not 4 p.m. as Football has told us. Because I was really thinking about leaving my job at 3. It'd be like, I'm just gonna have to lie. It just so I can be at the game. But the game is at 7 on Friday. I say that again because it's Cinco de Mayo night. So yeah, guys, we are playing a Greenville team who there used to be a rivalry game. I don't even know if this rivalry even still counts or if the league even remembers it, because the league doesn't remember rivalries unless 2 black people started. Yeah, so we play a Greenville team who's been somewhat thorn in our side, and since their inception. But they're down on their luck right now because they have not been playing great. Darren,
they lost to Tormenta this weekend. Tormenta.
Look, yeah, these last couple of games for Greenville have not been the greatest. Let me see. I can pull it up real quick. So their recent results, they have lost 3 in a row. Well, they lost 4 out of the last 5. The one way coming against Charlotte in the 86th minute, but they lost 1-3 to 1-0 to the Open Cup, 1-0 to 1-0 in League One, 1-0 to Chattanooga, and 2-1 to Tormenta and Jägermeister. So Greenville right now is not coming in as the hottest team. What is Darren going to have to do to make sure that Richmond comes out of here with the 3 points and ensure that we keep our top 4 place right now?
It's hard to, it's not that Darren can make them not make individual mistakes. I think if coaches could control whether or not players played perfect matches, obviously.
Don't tell that to Pep Guardiola. don't tell that to Pep.
That's true. His dark magic that has some sort of control over them, but that's been kind of the story of our. They're just the individual boneheaded mistakes. Some of them more boneheaded than others, aka Clyde sliding tackle in the box for a penalty, versus your 2 defenders slipping and sliding and falling all over their face as a
Can I just say real quick? I didn't mean to cut you off. Can I just say that is still the wildest tackle I have seen this year? Because at no point did that man have to do that tackle. That was wild.
Yeah, we haven't seen him since, so
that was just wild.
He disappeared him. So yeah, maybe Darren is teaching him a lesson. But
yeah,
so I would say it's that defensive, like just you can't, you have to eliminate as many of those. And in the matches that we've won by more considerable margin, there's been fewer of those mistakes. And in the matches at closer margins, there's been more of those mistakes. So yeah, hopefully nobody picks up a concussion also. Let's not have more of our players playing, because Jara got whacked in the head, I think, and Snedden got whacked in the head, and Griffin Garnett got whacked in the head. So maybe all these mistakes are because they're all concussed. But
yeah, I know Chandler had a nasty fall as well. Shanir, what about you, my man? What is Darren going to need to do to make sure the Kickers come out here with a result?
I think, honestly, try not to change too much. Because if you change too much, then it's like you're starting from scratch. We need to make sure that these players are starting to get comfortable in their positions, starting to get comfortable where they play, starting to get comfortable playing with each other without too much chop and change going on. So we've got a whole week. Let's try and get a regular team going. They did pretty well last week with that crazy game. We do know that, like you said, individual errors, like lapses of concentration. I think that should be the main focus, is what can we do this week to try to reduce the amount of, like Kate said, boneheaded errors that may go on the field. So try and get the guys as sharp as possible before the weekend, and I think we should be okay. Like you said, Greenville are not on a good run of form right now. They've had some tough losses. So we don't want to be the reason. We don't want to be their bounce back. We want to make sure that we keep them down, keep ourselves up. That could put us in a much better position. We may even jump up depending on how One Knox and Spokane do. But I mean, for some reason, One Knox has only played 4 games, so they're probably, if they do well, they could jump everybody. But yeah, I think that's the best we can hope for. Try and sharpen the team up as much as possible.
Matt, anything from you? You want to add to it, or?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a really easy answer. We've seen time and time again. You put Matt Bolduc out there against Tyler Polak, he is going to burn that bald man. He is going to leave him wasted on the field.
I had a feeling you was going to say that, and I wish I had the clip. I'm going to find it. And I'm just going to put it on there on social media. Matt just...
Simple. This game doesn't have to be hard. Also, maybe what they said, don't make stupid mistakes. And Greenville's got some dudes. Like they got Rapapa Mensah, who gave us some troubles in Chattanooga. So they got some quick guys, and speed has been a little bit of an issue for some of our defense. But I think, focusing on the defense, make the goal be to not concede and build from there, because I'm kind of over shipping 4 goals in a game.
Yeah. It's fun when you do it for us. It's not fun when our defense lets it in. If you look at the stats for it, I think one of the key stats for it is that Greenville is one of the top 3 teams in USL League One in average possession. Kickers aren't that. So I think that's the key to it. Like, we know how Greenville's going to play. If they get a lead, they're going to sit on that ball and kind of take the air out the ball. So it'd be very important that the Kickers, keep great turnovers, be effective on the ball. Right now we're averaging 5.3 shots a game, so if we can keep that rate up and be lethal with our finishing, we should come out well for this. Starting lineup-wise, I think we can all imagine that Snedden will get back in goal. Do you think we see Clyde come back to center back? Because he was out with an injury when I last remember. Do you think he comes back to center back for Guy Franco, or are you comfortable with Guy being at center back with Griffin Garnett?
I think you got 3 guys for 2 spots right now. Also, who knows how far back along he is? Yes, he was on the bench yesterday, but didn't get in. So it could have been one of those, hey, we'll bring you along, but we're not going to use you. Let's be real. In these sort of situations, or was it a, hey, if we need you, you're going to be ready?
Yeah. So I don't know there. I'm assuming. Yeah, Matt. Well, yeah, Shannon, my bad.
I was gonna say, I think Guy and Garnett have been doing fairly well together so far. And I think at the end of the day,
because they've been the center back pairing for the last 3 games. I know the last 2.
I believe so. Yeah, definitely the last 2, but I think the last 3 games. And you want a center back pairing. You want 2 guys who have been playing in the back together for regularly, because that's a very important position. That's a very important pair of positions. You want to make sure that they understand each other. The more they play together, the more they want each other. I think the last 4 games they played together. So,
last 4. Yeah, starting the Union Omaha game.
Keep it going this way unless something really bad happens. And if something really bad happens, then, like, for example, someone has a complete dip in form and it's like, all right, you need to sit out and reassess. Then they can bring in Clyde.
I'm assuming midfield more or less stays the same. I don't think we'll see a major change up there. I think the 2 key spots to look out for is definitely right wing. Adrian Billhart, do you think he comes back into the starting lineup, or do you think he'll be the super sub again? We might, Matt, to what you were saying, start off with Matt Baldock, have him run him into the dirt, and then you bring on Billhart for more of that technical control.
I wouldn't be against that.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Matt is a workhorse. He's gonna run himself into the ground regardless. And if he does that, then all right, we don't want to play him the full 90. Let him, like like Matt said, let him run that ball guy into the ground, and then bring on Adrian to bury the hatchet.
Yeah.
That seems to me would be a very smart way to do it.
So I think now the biggest conversation left is now striker, because to me, there's only two legit strikers: is Emmy and Kirky. Hayden is moonlighting there, like he not a striker. But I mean, who do you lean more towards? Do you start off with Emmy, or do you go more with Kirky, the quote unquote Energizer bunny?
I mean, do you think Kirkland's a striker? Or do you think he's more of a wing player in the system?
I see him more as a striker. Just his build to me, I see him as more as a striker. I think he can moonlight as a winger, like almost like how Matt Bentley did for us during that 2022 season. Like he was always a striker, but he moonlit as a winger, in a sense, because he can just play like an inside forward.
Hopefully this comparison doesn't go any further because
it doesn't. I don't want it to.
For us, a striker.
I do not want it to, because after he scored those 2 goals, I immediately had the thought, was like, please God, do not let this be the highlight of his career. Like I need this to be more consistent.
Right. The reason I ask is because there's goals that came from he was playing on the right. I mean, one of them was off a free kick mixed in the box, but nominally he was playing that right wing position. Like we've never really found anybody who can play through the middle who's not Emmy.
Yeah, no, we haven't.
Yeah.
Man, that
honestly,
list
for me,
of backup strikers is hilarious. Like, real quick, Shanir, before you go into your point, do y'all think y'all can name all the backup strikers the Kickers have had since Emmy's been here?
We're talking like technically, like anyone who happened to have played there, or
the illustrious list of names.
Yes, the illustrious list. Do you think you can name them all?
Oh, we can try. Bentley.
Okay.
Joshua.
Yeah.
Or are we going around the horn? Or just naming them off.
we can go either way. Yeah. Hernan. He even say his name without laughing. Hernan was one. Who else? Luke was one.
Luke was one. Sierakowski played up.
Sierakowski did. So that's 5. Who else?
Play up front sometimes. I mean, lastly, Chandler.
Yeah, Chandler.
Chandler is a striker. He's actually the one
guy
guy who's actually figured out how to score a goal from that position.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
Audie.
Yeah,
he did it for
the Toronto.
Yeah, he did it for the Toronto game. I'm gonna back and find that game because that game is also hilarious. Who else? There's someone else.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
There's someone else there.
Well,
Did we ever play Landon in that spot?
No, they haven't put Landon there.
Oh, they have not. Well, did Gordon or Belmar ever get a run out?
Belmar
Essentially.
Oh yeah, Belmar, Gordon. Yep. So that's 9. And combined, that's probably what? Who?
Simmons?
Oh yeah, Nick Simmons. So that's 10. God. And combined, that's probably what? 6 goals between 10 people? And if you take away Chandler, that's probably even less. Jesus Christ. Oh,
yeah,
man.
Sierakowski only scored a couple, but he wasn't playing in that position when he scored.
No, it wasn't. I'm trying to think. Is there anyone else who's played there? I'm feeling there's someone else. And it's going to kill me.
Oh, Olex.
Yep.
Olex.
Stanley Alves.
He only played on the wing, didn't he?
Oh, yep. So that's 12. Stanley Alves.
Yeah. Wow. And I don't think Stanley got any. Stanley was so promising and then it vanished.
What was his name?
That's literally the game we're playing here.
What's his name? Olsen? His first name started
David
with
Olsen.
Yeah. Yeah. He was on the roster for like 2 years and probably played like a combined 30 minutes.
Yes.
I saw him score a goal.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Open cup against Nova.
Oh snap.
Can we
Oh,
count that?
I mean, tactically, yeah. So would they give us 7 goals between 13 guys? Oh man, this is fun.
Did we ever play EVD in that spot?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Oh, you know what? We did.
Yep.
We did.
He was actually productive when he was
EVD
healthy.
played up there.
Yeah. That is still like one of my biggest what ifs. Like of that season. Like what if he didn't get hurt?
Mm-hmm.
Does that change the playoff result at all? I don't know, but it's just one of my biggest what ifs. I feel like there's someone else I'm forgetting. But when they give us like 14,
we've named a lot of the names now.
I don't know. I don't think we can count it because I don't think he ever actually got in the game. He had Sam Solomon.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he ever played.
I don't think he did either. I don't
Wow.
think he did.
We've done a pretty thorough list according to.
Yeah, it's what we're like what? We're at like what, 15?
Yeah.
About.
After about 10, I did start to go to the old rosters to see who else I was forgetting about.
Yeah.
I'm about to say.
Oh wow, this has Tony Pinedo listed as a forward, but I don't think we ever actually played.
He never played there.
Oh yeah, no.
He was too broken to play most of the time.
No. By the way, Tony Pineda just signed with Hickory Football Club and EPSL, one of those semi-pro leagues. But yeah, I just saw that and I was like, huh. Thought you were retired. I guess
retired from getting paid.
Yeah.
That's the key distinction there. Yeah. So that backup striker spot there is a list of names there, boy. There's a list of names there.
I think Kirkland would fit perfectly as the backup.
Yeah, that's what we were really supposed to be talking about.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I would want Emmy to start, and then because Emmy is a different challenge for center backs than Kirkland is. Center backs know where Kirkland is going to be, but the question is, can you keep up with them? You can keep up with Emmy, but do you know where he's going to be? And it's like two completely different challenges for center back. And so I think if mid-game, obviously in the middle of the second half, you're throwing a new challenge at a tired center back pairing, that can be very effective. And I think even if whether Emmy's scoring or not, even if Emmy's not scoring, you could bring on Kirkland and he could do something, because now it's something different that the center back have to deal with.
Yeah. So yeah, it'd be. I want Emmy to start. See, he goes both ways in my head. Part of me wants Emmy to start, and then you bring Kirkland off the bench. But then I'm also like, all right, if it's 0-0, it really depends on how the game is. Because if we're up, then take Emmy off and bring Kirkland in to, do the rest of the work, close out the game. But if it's 0-0, like keep Emmy on, and then yeah.
I think even if it's 0-0, if you bring on Kirkland, and if Emmy's not working, if it's not working, they're finding a way to shut him down. Throw something different at them. I mean, that's one thing that has really, a lot of times, has really made me tear my hair out about watching teams play, and their striker is not scoring, and they sub off that striker for the exact same type of striker. And it's like, you really think that's going to work? You got to throw something different at the other team if you want to get any kind of result. And I think Kirkland is that something different. And he's shown that he can put the ball in the back of the net. So it's perfect. It's a perfect situation, in my opinion.
The next big thing for Kirkland is just being consistent with it, because we've had forward, like we just listed, we've had forwards that can quote unquote put it in the back of the net, and then just the consistency doesn't come through.
They have a game and then drift off onto the list.
Yeah, and I don't want Kirkland to be part of that list. I don't. I can't live with that.
We have to break the cycle. Kirkland,
yes.
Please break the cycle.
Please do. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what Darren does with Bill Hart, because I mean, like, that's also kind of, I feel like this season, if the season started off worse or more difficult than what it did, I think that would have been like a big talking point of like, all right, we kind of got to rush Bill Hart back. They haven't had to. They've been able to. I think Bill Hart, maybe in all the games he's played so far this year, I think outside of one, he's probably played no more than 30 minutes. So is he 90 minutes fit yet? Or if not, like, is it worth starting Bill Hart the first 60 minutes and then being like, all right, I can either put Kirkland in or I can put Bolduc in or whatever. Or like, this might seem weird. Do you think Bill Hart works on the left? Or do you think he's dominantly right?
I'm sure he could, but I don't know if it's optimal.
Okay, because the only reason I was thinking about is because who's the natural sub for Darwin? Is there one?
Hayden's played there some.
I don't know.
Once they Hayden came in, but it looked like he went to left back and Maxey almost pushed up in one of the
I remember
matches.
that, yeah. Like I remember they did that.
Yeah.
But I don't, because I know we have a lot of right. You can tell who the substitutes match on the right side. I'm just thinking about that because Darwin's eventually going to go down.
Pretty sure Kirkland played out on the left as well.
He might have. Wouldn't shock me if he did or didn't. Yeah. So that would be cool. Okay, before I forget, you ran into a member of the Kirkland family at your game where you didn't get sacked at. I think that's the bigger achievement. You did not get sacked today.
Yes, Red Army football won our final game of the season, 1-0. Great goal from Noah Zircon to win the game. It was his first goal of the season. He'd been waiting for it. He's our striker, and he'd been playing all season up there and hadn't gotten his goal. So it was exciting for him to get a winner in the last game of the season. He is currently interning with the Kickers. He was at the watch party last night. Played his heart out. And then in the second game, the Ejército Rojo game, which is the Red Army team in the division. The team I manage is in the bottom division, and Ejército Rojo is in the division above. Their match, Josh Kirkland's younger brother was the AR on the touch of the benches side, so we got to chat to him pretty much the entire game. Unfortunately, we were distracting him a bit, I think, at times, but Will was doing a great job of trying to get him to make calls because he wanted to help our team. But yeah, he said his family loves the podcast. So Kirkland family, if you're listening right now, we love you right back. And thank you for being loyal listeners and supporters to the podcast. He pointed at me, he said, "You're on the podcast." And I said, "Yes, I am." And the final bow on the story is actually that Noah, who scored the game-winning goal at the very tail end of the Ejército Rojo match, which was not going in our direction, was elbowed so hard in the face that he had a gigantic nosebleed. He had blood all over his face, dripping down his shirt. He was left in tatters that he should have been awarded a penalty for, and they ended up just ending the game with him still laying on the ground. Us trying to give him something that he could put on his face. We didn't have anything we could give him. So he really left it all out there. He went from the high of scoring a game-winning goal and the only win of the season to getting an elbow straight to the face and just bleeding everywhere. So he really was a warrior in that match.
Yeah, that's real CVSA soccer for you there, folks.
Yes, it is.
Oh man. All right. I mean, how old is younger Kirkland?
He's not. I think he's 20 because we invited him to come to Final Gravity with us after if he wanted, and he said he couldn't drink yet.
Okay, so collusion with the refs. I love that for us.
Yes.
I love that for
Yes.
us.
It didn't really work. We still lost like 5-2, but
yeah, it's whatever. You win some, you lose some.
We'll get him in Section O. That was the long game. We'll get the whole Kirkland family in Section O.
That will work. That's gonna be hilarious. Well, yeah, man. So hopefully we see everyone out there on Friday. Remember, games at 7. on Friday. So, yeah, make sure you're there. It'll be a decent crowd. Also, one last thing before we mention this out. One Knox broke the attendance record in USL League One. Have you guys seen the list of all-time attendance in USL League One? Y'all seen this list?
Yep.
I laughed so hard when I saw Richmond was like on that list 8 times.
Yeah, they haven't played a League One game in that stadium, for the record.
Yeah, no, they didn't.
Right. Also, we've absolutely had games over 6,000 just because they only want to count certain ones for this.
Yeah, I could have sworn
same.
that the Henny Derby last summer was this. It wasn't on the list. But I could have sworn that was a sellout, or as close to a sellout as it needed to be. It wasn't on the list.
I remember that one. That one.
Yeah. No, that list was hilarious. It's just the mere fact that Richmond was like, oh, Richmond. I was like, oh, snap. And I think like the next one.
Torment its entire season.
Pretty much. Like, I think the next closest to it, I think Richmond was up there like close like 6,500, like 6,000, 5,000. And I think the next closest to it that wasn't a Richmond game was like 3.
No, there was Omaha was mixed in there for
Okay.
the final last year. They had like 5,700.
Okay, so that was up there. But that, like, that's crazy. That's a final. And that's not like just a run of the mill game. And the other funny thing that I found out is that in terms of League One history, because you got to separate the two, Matt Bolduc's third in assist. And I didn't want to believe that in club history, because I swear I don't ever remember a Matt Bolduc assist. Maybe I'm just blanking that from my mind, but
Club history?
Yeah, plenty of them for 2020, 2021.
Yeah, I just don't
That
ever.
is
I
true.
don't remember them. Like, you can tell me they happened. You can show me videos of them, but I was just like, no, that didn't happen. So I just saw that. That was funny. Yeah. Before we wrap up, Shadir, any of the last things for you, my good man, before we close out the show?
No, I think I'm all set.
All right, but Kate, any last things for you outside of collusion with the referees?
No, but I'm excited to see everybody on a fine Friday night at City Stadium. We don't get a lot of those, so hopefully it's a special one.
Yeah, remember, games at 7 on a Friday. Matt, any last things for you, my good man, before we wrap up?
Going to be good to get back to real soccer games that matter.
Yeah, that'd be fun. On a Friday at 7. I feel like I have to keep saying it because I will totally forget and go home and be like, why is my phone going off? We'll go alerts for the Kickers. Yeah. We just want to say thank you for everyone taking time out of your day for listening to our podcast, because without you, we couldn't do this. We wouldn't want to do this. So with that being said, remember, you can go to our Ko-Fi, that's ko-fi.com/RiverCity93, or you can go to RiverCity93.com, donate to the podcast, read our blogs, check out the podcast episodes there. Also, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. But for Shadir, Kate, Matt, and myself, we will holler at you guys next week when we will be talking about another Kickers victory, and also the prospects of can you name that Kickers player who we totally forgot about, like we did tonight. So, you guys have a good one. We'll talk to you guys later. Be easy and be safe.